hadn't been back since the funeral. Nothing had changed. Everything was just older. Looking back, I think that was the first really bad sign.
What does remain of Edith Finch? What do you know of Edith Finch and her remains?
Just the stories.
Okay, so there's different stories in the game, and in the demo we just did one story, presumably what's gonna be the first story, and you had to like walk up to the house and then walk into the house and find a book written by this one character. So her whole family died. Which is like a great way to start the game. It's a nice upper.
Yeah.
It's just like these are the same guys, Giant Sparrow, who did Unfinished Swan, so they just love right off the bat, doing that like classic up opening where they just kick you right in the gut. And so presumably her like younger sister, I think, had died, and so you go through her journey. So there's lots of narration, and they do cool bits where they put the narration in the environment. So like one sentence is on the top of a fence, and when you like open the fence, all of the letters like stumble off of the fence and like flicker right on the ground.
That's fun.
So you would open a notebook, and then all the words would kind of start spilling into each other or something.
And when you go up to items to investigate them, they might have like a couple words of text, and then when you get closer to it or click on it, all the rest of the words like spell out.
And that's how you sort of uncover what happened to that family member, right? As
Yeah.
you pick up those little clues.
So when you open up the diary, it's kind of like a painting in Super Mario 64 where you just jump in and then now you have to do that whole thing and you're locked to it, and then when you finish it, you're done.
So it's not like you enter a room and then you're just picking up story pieces from that room. The items will take you, like transport you to different...
Just the diary does.
Oh, okay.
Like you like find the diary in each room, and then it's like
And then
finding...
are there people in that? Like, do you
I didn't see any people.
humans? Oh, okay.
I saw animals. Which I was also curious to see if like animals came up in anything you guys have seen.
No.
So I was a little girl who was hungry, and you could like eat like a tube of toothpaste and like eat some of things like around the environment. And she like went up to her fishbowl and was like, "I'm not that hungry," but she's gonna die. And I actually don't specific because it was kind of like a dream sequence, so I don't know if she was just sick or something, and like that's how she died. But she's either dreaming or tripping or is magical or like all of the above. And when she goes out of her window, becomes a cat. And then as like a cat form kind of really low to the ground, you're climbing up to the trees chasing a bird, and then you become an owl and you're flying through a forest trying to grab rabbits, and then you're a shark and you're swimming through the ocean and trying to grab a seal. And then
Sounds like the greatest game ever
that's
made,
not
really.
at all what I thought this was going to be.
what is this?
you were like a monster arm at one point sneaking aboard a ship, and so you were like first person going through the hallway, and you had like a little snake form in front of you that you would like grab guys and eat them.
This game sounds amazing.
So
It's pretty trippy.
Are they all kind of like illusions that you're supposed to infer from them what happened to this family member, or because it's not explicitly
I couldn't really
said?
infer a lot because it was a really trippy dream sequence thing where this girl was
so you're
just
not sure if
imagining.
it's like you're metaphorically an owl tentacle monster, or you are literally.
Because she said she was hungry, so like maybe she is extremely hungry and is going through starvation and is hallucinating, or like like there were lots of different levels to it. And I think it's probably something that like once you get the context of how weird each of those sequences is, you can kind of ascertain like what happened and how they all kind of connect.
Wow.
So how long did
But
you
it
play
demoed
for?
well because it was just one slice. I think like 20 minutes.
So in the course of
20 minutes to half an hour, yeah.
You were a little girl who became a cat, and then an owl,
Became a cat, and then an owl,
shark,
and then a shark.
and then a tentacle monster.
The shark spawned at like the top of a mountain and like rolled down the mountain and then like finally rolled off into the water, and then you're like swimming around all the time while this girl's narrating it. So the girl's like, "I got aboard the ship and I was really hungry," and you're this like monster like hunting guys.
Like Life of Pi.
So much darker than all the kind of whimsy of. It's whimsical for like a second and then gets real dark.
Well, the introduction trailer just came out, and I would not have guessed any of that from this because it kind of paints a picture of the house is very central, and I know they've said that like each room in the house will represent a different family member. So I kind of just imagine it's like you go into the house and then you sort of search through each room and you're picking up clues. This is entirely different.
And he said it's like a little bit linear in that like it's kind of like Metroid where like you got to get Mega Man where like you have to get this thing to open this door to open this door. But I get the feeling that they'll probably split stuff up. Like right at the very beginning of the game, there's like a path down a clear road that goes up to the house, and then there's like another path off to the side that goes to the forest that I didn't even mess with because I'm like I just want to get through this.
Yeah.
But I played it at Judges Week at a party that was very, very cold. We were up like on the like right next to the ocean, and so it was like being an owl in a forest where there's snow everywhere and like cold winds blowing in my face. Like it was very cool.
outside?
Yeah, the dad was like
Washington.
shivering next to me. He was like, "It is strangely immersive." Like, it's a good way to experience it.
So you didn't know which family member your like section was about. Did you?
I think you got her name, and then I knew she
Maybe
was.
her sister.
I'm
or
assuming it was her
something.
younger sister, but then again, I don't know when she wrote that. That could have been. I think it was maybe just like a year or two ago, but it could have been earlier. The game could be messing with you.
wow.
You could be all of them. Who knows? You know, it's like
When
there's
is
all
the-
sorts of ways.
Did you get an idea of when, like, time period the game is set?
It seemed modern. There was nothing really
okay.
that
Yeah.
style-wise, like
Weird.
the type of car that was in the driveway or anything. It just
Right,
seemed, it seemed
right.
pretty ambiguous.
Yeah, it's interesting because it seems like it's modern, but then like you look at the house and there are some kind of weird, creepy things, like the portrait walls and stuff, and you're like, oh.
Anachronism.
And it doesn't, while Unfinished Swan, even when you got near the end of the game, when you got to like kind of realistic environments, always had this like Mirror's Edge, like animated vibe to it. And this is very, not like hyper realistic, but definitely, you know, plays more on like actually looking realistic
So
and,
it
and
looks
being
more
in a real
like
world.
Gone Home or one of those kind of things?
Yeah,
or-
and isn't minimalist in kind of like a cartoony way, but it's just minimalist. You know, it's just like when you're going through the forest, like there's not that many trees. It's just kind of like white and. But it was very fun and a fun game to demo because I'm like, there's all these other games at the same event, and I'll be like playing one thing and looking over and being like, wait, what? Like,
Yeah.
there's one point where you were the snake, like going through a tube out of a toilet, like into a house, and I was like, is that the game I was watching earlier with the girl in the house? And he's like, yeah. And then I like walking by it again and saw the cat section. I'm like, is this the same game or is this like a different?
So wait, you didn't become the cat?
No,
you
I
were
just
playing
didn't.
it?
I hadn't played it for like
Oh.
an hour or so after
Right,
I was
right,
at this
right.
party, so I kept walking by it and seeing different sections of it,
areas.
and being like, that looks like a crazy game.
This is mind blowing to me because I was
Yeah.
expecting more of a Gone Home.
Not at all.
And
what I
this
expected.
But it does feel more like Gone Home than Unfinished Swan did.
Oh.
Whereas like you do have these dream sequences, but they're all kind of like Eternal Darkness. Like they're all rooted to a specific location that you're also exploring as you go through. But trippy and fun.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
And
can't wait.
yeah, a good game to just kind of get your hands on. I like adventure games where it's like I don't have to hunt for stuff. It's pretty obvious what I need to click on. I just get to explore
Yeah.
and go through it. But
Yeah, I'm hoping that there will be some kind of just big like plot twist that surprises us with this game.
well, hopefully it'll be at E3 and you guys can check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for chatting.